So for this little project we're going to use some watercolour pencils to make some lovely little cards. Dead simple little techniques that you can use to make some really quite nice effects. Right, so the first little card we're going to do is we're only needing two colours, so we're going to use the magenta and the crimson lake. And what we're going to do first of all with the magenta is draw 3 hearts down the centre of the card. So a nice simple heart shape. The easiest way to draw them is in 2 halves. It doesn't matter if they're all the same size or slightly different. I think we'll go for a smaller one at the bottom there. There's our basic heart shape. We're then going to work over that to make the line quite a bit thicker, a bit more intense on each heart. So a fair amount of pressure on the pencil here, so don't be surprised if it does. If it's really fine point, it may well give way underneath you, but it should be working fine. Then we're going to pick up the crimson lake and do exactly the same thing. We're just going to work over the top of the magenta there. This is going to give us a lovely colour when they mix together. Doesn't matter if the lines aren't identical, you can have a little bit overlapping and a little bit not overlapping if you like, because we're going to use a bit of water over this anyway and it'll all blend in nicely. I've chosen both these colours because they are so nice and deep, so we get a lovely tone when we add the water to these. Okay, maybe a little bit more on that big one there, and then I'm just going to add a bit more magenta just to make sure there's enough of that as well. There we go, those all tidied up. So what we're going to do next is take the water brush. I've got a medium one here. These are fantastic if you're doing card making because it's a lot more controllable than dipping water in and out. What we're going to do is just literally paint around the line, and you'll see the colour start to take. And gently do that first of all. Pick up the colour on the brush, and then what we're going to do is add in a lot more water. So we're going to really drag that colour out into the main body of the heart. So quite a lot of water in there. I'm going to make sure it's quite wet, and then we're going to pick up the craft knife and the magenta pencil. I'm just going to start scraping little flecks of the tip of the pencil over the water area. I think that's probably enough there. Then we're going to take the sandpaper block and the crimson lake, and we're going to do a similar thing, but this creates a finer dust, and we're just going to let that drop in over the water area as well. There we go. And then we're going to give that a little blow, and there's a nice lovely heart. Dead simple, like I said. So then we're going to repeat the same process on the next 2 hearts. So we're just going to go around the outline, which blends those colours together nicely. And then we're going to start bringing a wash into the centre, really making sure we've got plenty of water. You can see how the pigment starts to pick up and draw into the water area. Right, I think that one's almost ready. Make sure it's wet. There we go. Right. So exactly the same thing again. We're going to take the knife and we're going to scrape across the magenta. Might leave this one a little less. So you've got a little bit of different there because I put a little bit more water on that one. So you can see when the flecks hit, they start to spread out. And we'll add just the same as before, a little bit of the red powder. There we go. And we'll give that a blow. Looking lovely. Right, last and final one. Exactly the same again. We're going to nip round the outline. Should be expert at this by now. We'll draw the colour in, making sure that the heart is nice and wet on the inside. There we go. Just working around the edges and we'll see the colour start to move into the centre of the heart. And then exactly the same again. Drop our flecks of magenta in. You're not pressing hard at all here with the knife, it's gentle scrapings. So we just go over the top again with a little sprinkling of the red dust. That's enough on that bottom one, I'm going to leave it a little bit different. There we go. Give that a little blow, and then we've got 3 hearts there. Then all we're going to do is put a little border around them all. The red one first. It doesn't have to be a perfectly straight line, because we're going to add another colour over the top, and then we're going for that handmade feel, so it doesn't matter at all. So I'm going to go over that twice. There we go. Then we're going to add the pink over the top. I'm deliberately not going to go over the same lines here, so we can, we don't want it to be perfect. And then we're just going to take the brush again and just gently draw the water along the top of both the lines. They'll begin to blend together. And there we have it. So there's one of them. We'll try another card using a little bit more drawing, so I'm going to pop that one to the side. This time we're going to use all 4 of the coloured pencils that I had out. So we've got the magenta and the crimson lake. We've also got a green, which is mineral green, and a yellow, which is Naples yellow. Okay, so for the second card we're going to draw a little bunch of tulips, and I'm going to make it really simple so you can draw some tulips dead easy. Okay, so we're going to start off with the tulip in the centre, and we're going to make this shape simply by drawing the shape of a leaf, roughly pointing out towards the corner of the card. Then we're going to draw another leaf over the top that hangs out slightly to the right of the first one. There's our first tulip head. We're going to then add another one to the right of that, so we'll put our first leaf shape in there. We'll overlap another one, and then the third one we'll put so the head is on the left hand side. So we've got our first leaf. There we go. You can have a little practice drawing that shape before you put it on the card if you want. So that'll make the tulip heads. And what we're going to do next is gently shade some of these areas. So we're going to add a little bit of red colouring in down the bottom area here. On all of the flowers. A little bit lighter in the centre one, I think. We're then going to move on to the magenta, and we're going to gently blend a little bit of pink over the red there. This is just laying down the foundation so that when we add water, the colours are really easy to blend together. And we'll get a lovely painter-like effect. Say a little bit of yellow at the top, I think. We don't need to colour all the way up because we'll be able to drag the colour in with the paintbrush. There we go, and then just to finish off I'm going to put a little bit of red at the top as well, just so the line isn't as harsh on each flower. Right, that's the flower heads ready for a little bit of water, and we're going to start at the lower end of the flower. We're just going to start dragging the colour up the flower. You'll see as we go along, just gently mixing the colours in. Get a lovely gradient effect there, and we'll do that on every single petal. And on every single flower, so we're just dragging the colour gently up the petal, mixing it in nice and gently. Don't need too much water. And then the final one. There we go, some lovely blended watercolour petals. Now all we need to do is add in some stalks. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the mineral green, and we're going to draw 3 stalks. We'll have one straight down the middle, one that starts that side, and one that starts that side. We're then going to just gently go over that again, just so there's quite a lot of pigment on the paper. And then, instead of just adding water, what we're going to do, is take some colour from the tip of the pencil by simply brushing the wet paintbrush over the tip, and you can see it's gradually picking up the green colour. In effect, we're using the pencil like a watercolour pan. And we're going to use that to put in our stalks. Then it's going to pick up the colour from the pencil marks we've already put down, and we've got a beautiful, really rich coloured stalk there. So we're going to add a little bit more paint to the brush and then put in the other 2 stalks in exactly the same way. And then the last one. I'm going to have to go upwards. There we go. So that's our 3 tulips. We should put them in an envelope really and send them to somebody. So there we go. There's the 2 dead simple cards you can make using only 4 watercolour pencils, a sandpaper block, a craft knife and a paintbrush.